All right. Okay, we are live. Give me 1 second. Let me get.
Shoot.
All right. Let's see. I see someone watching. Please be patient with us. We're giving a chance for the rest of the men to join, and Dorian is getting all that together. So I'm just like the pretty space filler that you guys just get to see for a little while longer until until they can start. So, um, what questions do any of you have for the men in the community? Those of you who are watching, because yeah, that is very much so a thing. Something bit me.
Tyler, I see you're on. Where you at?
That song really does get stuck in your head. Okay.
Okay. Well, all the gentlemen are waiting to
They're coming on.
come
Okay.
on, then we can go ahead and just jump into some things. And
All right. Well, I'm here. Listen, I'm here to help you however you need the help, whatever you want to talk about. It's up to you. This your show, you know? I'm just here. I'm just here at this point.
well, good. Well, while I have you here, some of the things that I was, hoping to discuss with these gentlemen today were just things around, I guess they're mostly their feelings around being men living with a chronic illness, being black men living with a chronic illness. There's already this stigma within the black community that you know black men especially aren't really um, listened to. That our emotions and feelings and those kinds of things are kind of moot in comparison to what's happening out there. But just like every other black man has all of the traumas and rigors of just living life in America or living life in this world, we have to contend with all of those things. Seeing ourselves be gunned down, on TV regularly, as well as dealing with a chronic illness where a lot of those stigmas, biases, racisms transfer over to the doctors who are also treating us. So uh, I really wanted to just start there and just get a really good idea of what were some of the things that they're feeling around being black men living here in this country, living with a chronic illness that's killing them from the inside out slowly. How you doing, James?
What's up,
Hello,
man?
James. Okay. Time out. Listen. I'm not supposed to be here. Okay. I'm going backstage. What you said was absolutely valid, and I can't wait to hear more from you. I might pop back in just to ask the questions, or I'll just probably just text it to you. To be honest, I'm not even. I don't want to. This is not my. This ain't me. Okay, this is you. This is your show. Okay, this is just. I'm just here.
You can hear holding
Um,
space, helping
I'm here
facilitate.
holding space, right? So before you guys get started, just introduce yourselves, and hopefully by the time you two are able to finish introducing yourself, um, that you guys will have the rest of your panel. If not, feel free to start the conversation until you do. And I'm looking forward to hearing from you. If there is anything you guys need, feel free to message me, put it in the chat, and I'll try to be as helpful as possible. So yeah, I'm Shay out. Okay.
All right, Shay. Well, thank you so much, and we'll see you again a little bit later.
Alrighty.
All right. How you doing today, brother?
What's up, my guy? I just came to support.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're happy to have you here, supporting us and offering your voice to what we're out here trying to do. Do you want to introduce yourself first?
Well, I'm James Duncan, sickle cell extraordinaire, you know, artist, poet, all that good stuff, father, etc., etc.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, my name is Dorian Archie. I'm a sickle cell advocate. I don't know, motivational speaker. I have sickle cell SS. I'm also an artist, actor, advocate. All of those things that the many hats that many warriors often wear. As you already know. But I was talking to Shay Brian before you hopped on, and just telling her that one of the conversations that I really wanted to just jump right into was kind of just talking about what it feels like to be a black man living with a chronic illness,
Right.
in a country that constantly stigmatizes you, racially profiles you, extends its bias towards you as a black man, but then how those things, those biases, those stigmas also transfer over to us as patients in the hospital, and some of the things that we have to deal with on that end, and just how oftentimes as black men, our feelings are overlooked, not even asked about, inquired about.
That's funny that this is the topic, because I actually have a pretty good story that just happened in March.
Okay. You were in the hospital?
Yep. So, should I just dive right into it?
Yeah. Just go right into it, man. We just here talking.
So I barely go to the hospital. I'm usually not in there, right? I actually have this poem called "The Good Sickler," where I'm talking about how I play their game and how they look at me and stuff like that. And at the end, it's like I say, they look at me as the good sickler, also the good nigga. Because that's really what it is. You're playing their game, and you're trying to put on this face and this facade to be as less threatening as possible, as less of a secret as possible, to be no, I'm not that sick, but I am sick type play.
Yeah.
And it's a fine line that we're bouncing that whole time that we're in there. So in March, I went into the hospital, and it was for my knee, which I couldn't walk. And while I was in there, they sat there and told me, "Oh, you got rheumatoid arthritis in your knees." So I was in there for 2 weeks trying to get that right. Went home and took a shower. I was back in there within like 10 hours. When I tell you the way they treated me was totally different, it was totally different. The charts didn't matter. The the amount of times I went to the hospital didn't matter. What I said to them didn't matter. They already had their mind made up. They already knew what it was, what they felt. And no matter how much I talked to them, how much I told them, look at my charts and all that, They already knew exactly what they was thinking, exactly what they was going to do. So it was actually one of the worst visits of my life, and it made me remember just how bad we're treated, just how fast they can turn on you, just how fast. So it's a fine line that we're always playing. It never stops. It never stops. It's a circus.
It's absolutely a circus. And I think it was Kevin Gates that said if you entertain clowns, you become a part of the circus. And when we're in the hospital, we have to become a part of the circus because, as people who've been in and out of the hospital our entire lives, we do learn the game. We do learn the protocols. We do learn, um, you know, how to read certain doctors, how to read certain nurses based off, their body language, what kind of language they're using as soon as they walk through the door. And and you're right that we have to walk a very fine line. I was also hospitalized in March, and I know all too well because since I was a child, I've almost kind of been looked at as like, oh well, you're not one of those. You're not one
Ah,
of
yeah,
that.
they say that a lot. Yeah, they say that a lot.
And when you've got your parents there, advocating for you, when you know your medications and exactly what you should be taking and the dosage and all that stuff. As a child, you're almost kind of applauded for it. But
Hmm.
then when you take those same things that you've almost kind of been taught to do in the pediatric side and take those over to the adult care side, you're then looked at like, well, why is he so knowledgeable about drugs? Why does he know so much about this stuff? Why is he telling me what he wants instead of waiting to be prescribed these things?
Right.
And it's because, well, I've got 30 plus years of experience doing this. It's
And
because,
this is part of the clown act. You go in there, they sit there and say, "What works for you?" You tell them what works for you. They're either going to give you half of that, or they're going to say, "Well, I don't feel comfortable giving you that, so we're going to try this instead." It's like, so what was the point of asking me? You already had your mind made up on what you're going to do. It's all a power act. Also, it's all a power struggle. It's like, I want you to know that I'm in charge, and you have to make sure that I feel good enough to give you this. It's like, wow, like such a power trip.
yeah, and as a patient, you're left wondering, well, why? As I'm the person in the hospital bed, I'm the person got the tubes and the drugs and the IV fluids and everything else, you know, uh, coming in, flowing into me or that I'm needing. But as a patient, literally going through a sickle cell crisis where your red blood cells are essentially attacking the inside of your body, bone marrow, not bone, your bones, your muscle tissue, your internal organs, all taking damage
Everything, everything.
everywhere. Exactly. With every single crisis that you have, you still have to have enough wherewithal and foresight to know how to deal with the doctors, to know how to make the doctors feel comfortable, make the
Hmm.
nurses feel comfortable, so that they will actually give you the care that you need. Many of us are often prescribed drugs outside the hospital. So if we wanted to just abuse this stuff, we have plenty of the means to do so. But if we
Facts.
chose to come to your hospital, we're clearly in need of care. But instead of just receiving that care, we have to then wade through the the bureaucracy, the red tape, the bull crap of doctors and nurses' feelings and emotions instead of our feelings and emotions, our needs, our care plan uh, being followed.
And literally everything that we were taught in pediatrics works against you as an adult. Like, when you're in pediatrics, stay calm, take your mind off the pain, play the game, read a book, do this, do that, right? We're taught all of that, trying to get our mind off the pain into something else. But as soon as you hit adult side and you try to do those things, oh, you're not in that much pain. Oh, you look like you're better. Oh, you're good. So it's like now everything that we are taught works against us, and we're looking like, well, how the hell do we win? And the answer is you don't. You don't. Every time you go in there, you got to roll a dice. That's why a lot of them are dying at home because some people are just tired of rolling the dice. We're tired of gambling. Like I'm a kind of prideful person, so me feeling like I gotta beg you to take care of me, I have a very big problem with that. So, I try my best not to go to the hospital. If I go to the hospital, it's like super extreme. It has to be really bad, which is bad. It's not good. I shouldn't do that, but I can't help it because of how they treat you inside those hospitals. It's just like it's a circus. It's a circus, and I don't like being a clown. I don't like sitting there. Why am I the one in pain, crying like that? But I got to make sure you're comfortable. Like that. That don't make sense. It don't make sense.
It doesn't. It doesn't make sense, and that can sometimes I say be just as traumatic as the crises itself. Like that's why so many of us fight tooth and nail not to go to the hospital. Like you said, we'll just stay down at home, like to try and deal with it as long as possible, almost prolonging, the crisis instead of seeking the care that we need.
Right. Doing more damage.
We got literal PTSD about what kind of treatment we might receive at the hospital. Because like you said, it's literally rolling the dice. We don't know and I know sickle cell patients who literally have tried to map out doctors' schedules in the hospital. Okay, I know this doctor's on call on these days, or I know this doctor is going to be here right now, so this isn't when I need to go to the hospital. Like, to have to put that much thought into when you seek care, that's not only dangerous, but that's traumatizing. It's traumatizing to us to have to go through that cycle over and over again. Because I have a friend out here in Los Angeles. I won't name him. He's actually currently hospitalized, and he is dealing with the exact thing that you just mentioned, where in pediatrics we're literally given entire game consoles in our rooms. They come in and wheel in a PlayStation for us to distract us from the pain. But the second they catch us on our phone playing Candy Crush, just trying to distract ourselves from the pain, it's, oh, you're well enough to go home. And they literally tried to discharge this man.
Yes. I've been there.
This man in a full-blown crisis. Hemoglobin doing all kind of stuff. But simply because you're on your phone, and this doctor, he knows pain. This may have been his first sickle cell patient, but he knows pain well enough to say, because you're on your phone, you're well enough to go home. I'm discharging.
And you know what else is crazy? Is that they're quick to use your blood against you, but when the blood shows that things are bad or happening, they won't go by the blood no more. They'll go by how you look. They'll go by, what I see. But you want to go by my blood before, but now you don't want to go by my blood.
Can you just look at my blood? Yeah. Hold on, but I want to give Ken. I see Ken has come in. How you doing, KC?
I think he's muted.
Are you muted, bro?
Am I muted? No, I'm not muted.
Can
you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay. Yeah, no, I was apologizing for being late, but this conversation is so on point. Man, I can't tell you the number of times that I laid in my bed, literally not knowing if I was going to make it through the night with issues, surrounding sickle cell disease, and just saying, I'm not going. It's just, I'm not going. It's just like, it's very much like you said, it's traumatizing to have to go through that every time. And, or, to feel so vulnerable, when you do decide to go and know that, these people are not considering you and what's happening to you first when it comes to treatment. The first thought is about what could happen to them if something happens with the medicine, at least that's the story they give you. And, the patient should be your first concern, not your license, not, whether or not you think I'm in pain, so many things that are already in the guidelines for sickle cell disease, and one of the most powerful things is just believing the patient, what it feels like to not be believed when you're suffering and you're telling somebody that you're in pain, and have a doctor look at you and tell you he does not believe you. We do, it's so amazing because, I'm working with Access Advocacy right now. And part of their goal is to change the narrative that takes place in the medical person's mind, things that they've learned throughout their schooling and then through some of their early experiences as a residential doctor. Things like, sickle cell patients are drug addicts, and sickle cell patients are frequent flyers. They're always in looking for more drugs, and just different stereotypes that they basically grow up as a doctor with, and us finding ways to change those narratives so that as soon as we hear it, we can give them a better perspective. And I'm trying to, and please forgive me, I am sleep. I haven't slept today. It's just been a heck of a day.
No apology needed. No apology needed.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the example that I was just saying, and I can't think of it. It's gone. So that's okay. But yeah, it is a horrible thing not being believed. And what I was thinking about it. It's actually in the ASH guidelines or the CDC guidelines. The first and most important thing is to believe the patient. If you don't believe the patient, then you're gonna be treating somebody with your thoughts and your ideas of what's going on, and not dealing with the issues that what the patient is trying to tell you is happening. And that's a horrible feeling. It's a really horrible feeling. I mean, it would be horrible in any incident in relationship when you're relating to someone, but in the hospital and with doctors and patients, that just can't be. Just can't be. And yeah, traumatic. That's the word for it.
Absolutely. It's a trauma that I think many of us know all too well.
Well, all too well. But again, there is hope on the horizon. And one of the things that I've really been fighting for since I became a member of the sickle cell community, and I was so affected by the Facebook videos that I would see of young people in the hospital, just in tears because they won't treat their pain, just crying out for help. And and I'm going to all these different conferences and stuff, and I'm saying, hey, why are we not helping these people in the hospital? I mean, if we're going to be advocates, that's where we need to be advocating. We need to be advocating at the bedside. We need to be getting into the room with our patients and letting them know that they're not alone. And I've been yelling at me and Nita Thompson and many others have been trying to do that. And I'm just so happy and blessed that there's now some real organized efforts to do exactly that, to train sickle cell advocates to be able to come in, with the knowledge of how we should be treated, and to help these patients get the treatment that they deserve. And
Absolutely.
Most importantly, to let them know that they're not alone.
Yeah. I think for a long time, many sickle cell patients, we do feel alone outside of just within our own community. Our family, our friends, they don't really understand. They just, they got to see us going to the hospital, every so often, or it's like, oh, that's that thing my cousin got, but they don't know
Yeah.
anything about, what their cousin is actually dealing with. And for a long time, we've had to be our own advocates. We were, each other's, backbones and support systems.
Right.
And that's why it's, I think, becoming so important for us now, when we can do organized efforts to organize things like this, like conversations like this, where
Absolutely.
the men with sickle cell can have a platform to voice all of these things. Because when you give a voice to these things, that's when you can start organizing around. That's when you can start creating, things that actually impact change within the community. We ain't talking about it, you know, we're essentially just holding it inside, letting it fester, venting to each other about it, but not actually taking that energy and applying it towards creating the change that we want, that we need. But and I'm so glad you hopped right in, but in almost like you knew exactly what we were talking about. But just to put a little frame to to what you may have missed, we've been talking about how men with sickle cell, how our feelings around a lot of these things that we're talking about have largely been pushed to the wayside. How, as Black men, especially in Black men in America, these stigmas, these biases that we're trying to change, transfer over into the medical field. I think we actually kind of probably touched on that pretty well. So I just kind of want to move into one of the next topics that I kind of wanted to discuss. Just kind of flows right into that thing, the thing that we've already been talking about, in that those stigmas and biases, how they carry over into the medical field. They trickle down to our family, our friends, the community, America at large. What has been some of the trials or some of the issues that you face in getting the support that you need from family, friends, significant others, even coworkers or your job? How have your needs, I guess, how have you had to try and fight to have those needs met by the people that you needed from the most? And neither one of you, feel free to jump in there.
I feel like everybody understands until they can't understand no more. Sick life gets tiring, and for people that doesn't go through this, they can only think about how it feels if when they punch their hands on the wall or if they bump their knee. They can't understand how hard this is, So after a while, they get exhausted of trying to even understand this, and it's like, oh, again, this is too much, And I've kind of learned to not take it personal because a lot of people just can't understand. I mean, even my own grandmother, she didn't understand and felt she could will the pain away. She could will me into feeling better and stuff like that. And it wasn't until she had cancer where she was like, damn, this is how he feels. I can't even go up a flight of stairs without getting tired. I could just be sitting there and all of a sudden I just get so tired, like I'm so sorry, and it's like most times people don't understand until they have to battle with some type of illness themselves. So I don't take a lot of it personal. I try to get them to understand the best they can and accept if they can't handle it no more. Hell, I try to run away from myself sometimes. So, you know,
Absolutely. I know many times I've, you know, chosen, okay, well, this is not the friend that I can lay that on. This is not the friend who can do that aspect. This is the friend that once I'm out of the hospital, they the person who's the energy, the life, who's gonna get me back on my feet. But the sick stuff, they may not have the capacity to do that. And I had to learn that as well. Like, I can't take that personally. I can't put that onus on myself to make them understand what I'm dealing with. I just have to understand where they fit into the, you know, the spectrum of my life, you know, where that relationship has to fit in. Not to say that they're any worse or of a person.
Right.
They just truly may not have the capacity to understand it yet. Because like you said, for most people, they will never know until later on in life what it's like to be in a chronic position of pain, you know, of needing something, needing medicine, needing hospitals, needing doctors. They will never know what that's like until later in life when they're expecting it.
Right.
So
I think my best way of explaining it to people is everybody isn't made for everything. You have to understand what that friend or that family member is good at and use them for that.
absolutely. And I know for me that kept a lot of depression. Like it used to make me like depressed, like, you know, woe is me, nobody gets it, nobody wants to get it.
Right.
And I just got angry, just angry. But I realized that anger was only making me sicker. It was only trapping me in a cycle of more pain, more hurt. And I realized, okay, the best way that, like, just like with cancer, with diabetes, you hear those names and it's like instant empathy. It's like, oh my God, like you're dealing with what? That's the atmosphere that we as patients are going to have to create around sickle cell if we truly want that kind of empathy,
Right.
kind of support. We have to create that dichotomy within our own communities.
Right.
Because or else it's going to be a constant battle to make somebody understand something that, for the most part, they truly can't fathom. Because I know, for like, my father's a pastor, and when you said your grandmother would be trying to will the pain away, like, bruh, I can't tell you how many times, like, I felt like,
been prayed over.
yeah, like, you know, you can lay all the hands you want and you can do all the praying you want, and prayer has its place. Like faith and belief, like I believe a very strong place in you know, in one's mind and being able to, you know, help somebody overcome something. I do believe that.
Right.
But when you're in the full-blown heat of a crisis, like it, all the praying in the world is not going to make the literal shapes of your cells that are shaped like giant little bananas, you know, reshape themselves and, you know, make you healthy.
Prayer without action is just words. So it's like, yeah, pray for me, but we still gotta do something about this.
Like, we need to do something about this. We need to be at a hospital. We need to be in the car going to the doctor's office. I need some medication.
Exactly.
I've been in conflict with, you know, even new age parents now who are reluctant to give their child any of the new medications that we largely fought to get out there for sickle cell, you know, in lieu of, you know, holistic things and praying and Reiki.
I mean, you can't blame me too much. I mean, look how many things they done tested on us and made things worse.
Oh yeah, and not at all, because again, I feel like all of these things have their place, but it has to be a balance between health and wellness, like where those things are in place for when, you know, you're healthy, so that they keep you healthy. You know, you shouldn't be using those things to try and fight the illness when the illness is attacking.
Right.
Because you will largely just make the person sicker, in my experience. Because as a kid growing up, I had every supplement shoved down my throat you could imagine. When I probably should have just gotten some medication. But anyway, we're
Some
getting off
IV
topic.
fluids and everything.
But Ken, I want to hear your thoughts on what we've been going on about.
I think your mic muted again.
Yeah. Yes, I was muted. Okay. Back to me now. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was saying that in my family we had this praying aunt, and my aunt Bernice. And when I would have a sickle cell crisis, you know, I would end up in the hospital. And I promise you, as soon as my Aunt Bernice called and prayed for me, and she would be just like, you just need to get up and go on home because God has already taken care of this. I promise you, when she did that, it wasn't a day or a day and a half that before I was out of the hospital, and for me, I couldn't deny it, prayer
But that's
powerful. But also the encouragement to walk in faith, because it's not just prayer, it's prayer and faith. And faith is the action that you take to make the prayer real. And so when she was telling me it's time for you to get up and go home, and that's exactly what she would do. She would say, okay, it's time for you to get up and go home. The times when I, said, okay, I guess I'm done. The pain would be gone and I'd get up and I'd go home. And I'm not saying that it was always like that, but I can't deny that there were many times when, my faith and her prayer interacted for me to be delivered from that situation. And one of the things that I wanted to say was, the challenge that, wow, there's some background noise taking place, but yeah, okay. The challenge that family members have, especially as you get older, and understanding the limitations that people with sickle cell disease have. I remember even as a kid too, when I'm not going in the pool, I'm sorry. I know what happened last time I went in the pool and my mom told me not to go and get in the pool, and I went and got in the pool and came out and got hit with a crisis, and so my friends would be like, come on, we get in the pool. And I'm like, no, I ain't getting in the pool. I already learned that lesson. And so it's hard for people to understand some of the limitations as we get older and our bones are, failing us because of the avascular necrosis and just the pain of all the different infarcts that are up and down my legs and my arms. And I would look at my sister, who was my sickle cell twin, and see how she was suffering, and sometimes how she wouldn't come to events or go out and do things, especially in the wintertime, and sometimes your family has feels some kind of way about it, like you're not even trying, you're just making excuses. Those type of things are challenging when that really what you're trying to do is avoid triggering a crisis, and getting that kind of understanding from family and friends, and I'm telling you, I don't want to in any way say that, they ever did anything less than love me. It's just that sometimes they just didn't understand, that, there's consequences when we do certain things, and that consequence can be, terrible pain and a week or 2 weeks in the hospital, and then kind of like what you were talking about earlier, you start to fear that, you start to really, really feel, the fear of having to go through that. And you start changing your lifestyle, and you start changing the way you behave, and people are looking at you like, again, they're just looking at you like they don't understand. And so, I was blessed growing up I grew up in a big family. I had 5 sisters, and I had one sister who had sickle cell, just like me. But, I always had my 2 older sisters who would take care of me. And then when I got older, my 2 younger sisters who loved me and would do anything I needed. My mom was always there, but again, it's a strain on the family. It truly is, and I'm thankful for them and all the love and treatment that they gave, and and I completely give them grace, for those times when they may not have understood what I was going through, and and I ask for grace from them from those times when, my behavior, put them in a situation, because there were plenty of times when I was out acting a fool, ended up in the hospital, and now, I'm, having, to rely on my family, to be there for me. And it's pretty much my fault, because I was doing something that I shouldn't have been doing, or that I knew was, possibly trigger a crisis.
But at the same time, we can't fault you for wanting to exist in the same space that everybody else gets to exist in. Wanting to feel normal and just have a night out or do something with your friends, even if in the back of your mind you're like, you know what, this might be a little risky, but you do it anyway because you have that desire to want to be, a part of the things that are happening for everybody else, and join in and be a part of the group.
Right.
I think it's I don't think anybody would fault you for just wanting to be normal and feel normal.
Yeah, I'm gonna be real though. What I'm talking about is those times when I was being a party animal, and
when you were what?
Being a party animal, and then you get called on it by one of my sisters. That's just being real, and yeah, and you just get called on it. They ain't stupid. They know that you've been partying all weekend long. We used to do weekend trips down to the university, because my best friend was in university, and so we'd go down there for the weekend, and we would party all weekend long. And I'd come back home, and I have a crisis, and next thing you know, you're being a burden to somebody else. Or somebody else is having to change their role so that they can take care of you and get you to the hospital and make sure you get set up, and you get called on that sometimes. I mean, I've had my sister say, Kenny, you want to go down there and party all weekend long and then come back here and have me take you to the damn hospital. And I'm getting pretty sick of that shit. I'm just like, it's like, what are you gonna say, right? You gotta be real.
You're muted.
Just actively not having your best interest at heart, I guess. It's a little different. So I can see when it's almost kind of like intervention needs to happen. It's like, look, man, somebody gonna have to tell you about yourself and let you know.
Right.
To remind you, you still got this thing called sickle cell, and you need to sit your ass in.
Yes. You know how you was with the pool? I was like that with the beach, because I got sick a few times at the beach, and I tried different things, and every time I got sick. Now I don't even go to the beach. I don't like the beach. I don't like anything about the beach. I won't go to the beach.
Right, the beach is out. It's
out. The beach is on and I don't touch the water at all. Like I do not like. I might dip my toe in, but that'll be the most of it. And like I said, it better be blazing hot.
I only went in the water to my ankles, and I caught a practice at my ankles and my feet. Couldn't walk.
Right.
Nothing I did wrong. Nothing I did.
That's it.
Yeah, I'm like you. I don't like the water to go above my ankles because that cold hits and you be feeling it running up your legs, and yeah. I go to the beach and sit in the sand. I fly my kite, and I love the beach. I ain't messing with that water.
I love the blues, the wind, all of that stuff. The sand and the toes. That water.
Yeah.
I find it like all beach water is cold.
I like heated pools. That's about it. Give me a heated pool, and I'm good to go.
Yeah, it's so funny. I'm going home in August for the air show. Chicago's air show is literally the biggest air show in the country, and
really?
it's right on the beach. The beach that runs right in front of Lake Michigan, and it's the most beautiful space in the world to me, man. I've spent so much time down there, and you have the skyscrapers behind you, you got the lake in front of you, you know, and then you got all the airplanes going by, and like you said, I go there and I just can't mess with the water. I just have to chill, kick back on the sand, but I gotta stay out of that water, man. Otherwise, my air show is gonna be short.
It probably gonna sound crazy, but I actually did a swim team.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, elementary and middle school. And in Texas, it was pretty doable if I was at outside pools during the summertime. Get out, and you know, pretty much you're instantly dry with the Texas heat and the humidity, so it was okay. Not to mention, my mom was adamant that I wasn't going to be one of these black kids out here, you know, drowning. I didn't know how to swim. So,
but that was the problem with me. The temperature change, like being cold in the water, then being hot all of a sudden, and the fluctuation of temperature change.
Right.
Took me out every single time.
Yeah, and it's not like I never swam when I was young. I mean, I have, you know, did it, but it was always a risk. It had to be hot enough so that if I got out of the pool, you know, I wasn't going to catch a cold breeze. You know, if I felt like,
and that was it for me. It only took one indoor swim meet, and wow, I was like, you know what? It's probably ain't for me because I had one of the worst sickle cell crises that I can remember from childhood. You know, pre-adolescence, like it was bad. Felt like it was in my bones, like everything, like all 5 feet of me or 4 feet 8 inches, whatever I was at the time, was like being crushed like a towel being run out. One of the worst crises I can remember to this day.
You ever had those crises where you end up sore, like your ribs and everything is sore to a touch, your back is sore, everything's sore?
Oh yeah, because you feel like, man, I started having a crisis like that yesterday, where you just feel like everything's locking up, and it's just, you know, I was gonna say what Dory was talking about. It's like, you know, there are times when, you know, I would never wish this pain upon anyone, but people really, really do not understand how the onset of this pain is just the most, it's just horrible. You just can't explain it to people. You know, you want them somehow to be able to, and certainly I've gotten a lot of sympathy, and people can look at you and tell that you're, you know, not doing well. You know, you're a grown man, you're crying, you know, because you're in pain, you know. But if they could feel the pain, they would understand the reticence that we have to put ourselves in a position to have to deal with that at all. You know, I mean, you know, because sometimes we get criticized, you know, for not, you know, showing up. And again, it's just like, man, if you could just feel this pain one time, you would never again question, you know, why.
That they have for pregnancy, where you could feel their contractions. I wish they had something like that for sickle cell, where you could like feel the type of pain that we're talking about, so that way they can kind of see.
I'm sorry, my brother. Can I back you up? I'm sorry. They have something where a man can feel the contraction.
Yeah.
You can feel the contraction.
Where there's like a contraction belt that men can wear, so that they can feel what the stages of the contractions feel like for a woman. And that would probably be the only thing that might be able to simulate what we're going through, except it's only going to stimulate that one area, whereas they would
I am so surprised that
radiating everywhere.
Wow.
But yeah, you know, something can somewhat simulate it.
I never knew that. And man, I'm surprised that device isn't illegal.
Like we need something like that.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'll just take your word for it. Yeah, I'll just take your word for it. I'm sorry. I think that's how it is with sickle cell too. You know, you don't have to show me, baby. I feel you.
If you really actually can simulate our pain, because what I always I tell people is that like you can't soothe sickle cell pain away. You know how like you said, you know, you stub your toe, you bump your knee. You can rub your knee, put some ice on that.
Right.
Away. But with sickle cell, it's happening at such a deep cellular level, like the deepest level that you can imagine it is where this pain is emanating from. Like trying to describe that to somebody like is impossible.
They can never get it.
I said, imagine all of your red blood cells are Mike Tyson in his prime, and he just lost it inside of you.
They still wouldn't get it because they don't know what red blood cells are. Still wouldn't get it because they don't know what red blood cells are.
Yeah. Or what they do.
That's true. Right. And yeah, you're absolutely right. It's a really, really particular type of pain, man, and it's almost indescribable. And again, I mean, it is if you had ever had this pain, you would completely understand not ever wanting to have that pain again, you know. And unfortunately, you know, we don't really get that choice, you know. I mean, we can try and mitigate it to the degree that we can, but you know it's coming sooner or later.
The only thing that
I'm just talking with a friend about after sex pain. I know there's going to be a conversation later, I think, about that coming down the pipes. You know, it's just the hardest thing to avoid, and for a sickle cell patient, you just, as much as you know you want to avoid it, there are so many different triggers and there are so many different instances where, you know, that thing just kicks in and it's there. It's just like, bang, it's there.
I know the only thing that seems to have helped me sometimes is, and it's only for like 3 seconds, is when you hold your breath for a second. But as soon as you let go of that breath and you exhale, that pain explodes. So it's like a catch-22. You're gonna feel some relief, but as soon as you let go, it's gonna explode. So ain't no winning.
Yep. And it's an explosion that feels literally like your bone is exploding. I mean, it's just, again, never want to have to. You never want somebody you love to have to go through that. Yes, you never would.
It's funny that you mentioned it. We're going to end up doing a whole show on this topic, but we can kind of just briefly touch on it a little bit. But I actually put myself in the hospital on my 23rd birthday, doing the grown up. So yeah, it is very, very much so a very real trigger. And you talk about partners, I had gone out that night before. I had a great night, like bringing in my 23rd birthday, like you know, just an amazing night. I'm like, all right, I made it through. It was the next morning trying to get that morning
after.
Yeah. Trying to get a morning stretch in that I mean literally almost soon as like things got started, man, like it was like it just swelled up in my body, like in a way. I mean, it was kind of like that crisis I had with the pool. Like it just felt like I was being just crushed and suffocated from the inside out. I'm just trying to do what lots of people do every day, night, second of the time that we're on this planet. Somebody's doing it somewhere. But that could very much so lead to a sickle cell crisis for us.
Yeah, boy.
The other things that come with, you know, romantic partnerships, but
yeah, I've been there. I've definitely been there.
Man, I'm telling you, I mean, I'm talking about, mid-stroke crises, man. Just like, what's wrong, honey? You were doing so well. It's like, I'm gonna need a minute.
And it's because, we want to sit there and make sure our partner, knows that we trying to overdo it. We trying to sit there and show we the man and stuff like that. And,
right.
next you over there in a fetal position like, oh, my bad. No bueno. You got to take your time, S.A.
Absolutely. Oh, my God.
I said no, because I could literally feel myself like teetering on a crisis. And I was just like, nah. She was like, when do you tell me no? I was like, right now.
Right now, yeah, right now.
Right now. That's a no.
But that's when you have a partner that understands. You gotta have a partner that understands. Because if you don't have a partner that understands, they're really gonna feel some sort of way that you said no.
Man, I've been through that. I've had women thinking, it's them, and I say it's not you, it's me. And that conversation goes on, everywhere. But for real,
they take it personal.
It's me.
And they think it's them.
Mm-hmm.
And they take it personal.
Yeah,
very
personal.
Absolutely. And I'm trying to tell you, it's like, no, this thing is, you're gonna be seeing me in the hospital. As a matter of fact, I want you to give me a ride. Because the pain is real.
All right, my friends, I'm sorry. I gotta cut this short. I gotta get off.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, brother. We're about to close it out here in the next 4 minutes. But I appreciate you being here, James. I appreciate all your insights. Yeah, the voice you offer. We're definitely gonna have you back on again, brother.
Much love, y'all. Much love.
Conversations and much needed. Thank you so much.
All right.
Later, y'all. And I appreciate you taking the lead on this, Dorian. Thank you so much. And I would love to get, a few more men on and continue this conversation. And, just keep it real. So, gentlemen, have a blessed night, man. It was good hanging out with you today.
Absolutely, yes. And thank you, Ken, as well, man. You are an amazing voice in our community, and a much needed voice in our community. And I appreciate all the work that you do. Appreciate you being here to offer your voice today. And just, you're one of the people that I actually admire here. And I hope to model my work after.
Thank you, Dorian. Know that the feeling is mutual, my brother. I really, really have appreciation for you and the way you show up in this community, and it's wonderful to have new faces and new voices coming into the community. So you guys be blessed, man. I don't know where we're at. I think we're done. Okay.
I think
he's in the background. Okay. What's up, baby?
I was backstage, but I think his phone hung up. I was trying to, be respectful to the men's conversation.
Okay, I appreciate that.
I didn't want to. This isn't my talk.
Right.
We're just going to give him a couple of minutes to see if he'll come right back so that he can close out. If there's anything you want to say or anything, this is.
Like I said, I just think it's always important for men to get together and talk about things, and it's something that we need to find a way to make happen a little more often in our community, even if it's just a monthly show, whatever.
It's a lot of feedback from both of y'all.
Yeah, kick me out.
Yeah.
KC, do you have a fan on?
I do.
I think that's what I've been hearing this whole time. It's been bugging the
Oh my goodness.
I kept muting you because every time you were unmuted, I couldn't hear Dorian. I'm like, if I can't hear Dorian and all I am is backstage, I didn't want other people to not hear you. But then there was a point where you guys were doing the back and forth thing. So I was like, okay, I'm going to just let this play out. I did message you to try to say hey, but it's okay. You guys did great. And I'm not here. I mean, I'm here, but I'm not here. So I'm gonna head on back, and I'm gonna let y'all close this out however you see fit. And I will be back to actually end the broadcast. So unless Dorian accidentally cuts out again, I don't plan to be back until you guys are pretty much done.
Yeah, hopefully,
Okay, yeah, I thought we were.
again, I did not realize somebody FaceTiming me would completely just end the broadcast. But yeah, apologies about that, Ken.
Yeah, my bad, dude. I forget about ambient noise and how it shows up. And it definitely does. Because I can hear whatever that little crickling sound is.
We're breaking up there, Ken. I'm not sure if it's on my end.
No, I was saying, I heard some crickling noise in the background. Like I said, it's hard to sometimes do this outside of a studio because you always got all these little ambient sounds that are putting itself through. But no, I was just telling Shay that it's so important that we men get together and talk and have an opportunity just to suss things out amongst ourselves, and even if it's just like on a monthly basis, I really appreciate the opportunity to sit down with other men and have a conversation about anything, I mean, literally about anything. And so I'm thankful for you two showing up, and especially for you, Dorian, for taking the lead on this, man. Thank you. And I think that, we should find a way to do this a little more often. Especially because, we got some young men that are coming up behind us. And I would love to hear what they have to say about things as they, start to experience some of the things that we're talking about, as they come into their, manhood and that transition from pediatrics to adult care, just knowing that there are other men here who have been through that experience and are happy and willing to share with them. I would love to have some conversations like that.
Absolutely, and I think that is ultimately the goal and aim of what this first talk represents. There was actually a young man I wanted to have on today, but I let him know probably a little bit too short notice for his schedule. These young folks always doing something. But I think that's something that we definitely are going to have in the future. Have pre 12 to 4, 12 to 18-year-olds, in this conversation as well, so that we can really start giving them, that our insights on how to best navigate, dealing with this illness and how to matriculate from pediatrics into adult care so that you don't have to deal with all of the hiccups that many of us had to deal with and contend with. Also, and how we can convey that message to, their fathers, who may just be trait carriers, and how we can better equip them as fathers to raise sons growing up with sickle cell. Because I know as a young man with sickle cell, because sickle cell did give me a wisdom beyond my years, and then sickle cell also often leaves you looking very young, even when you're not. Um, I was often looked at as like, being disrespectful or, you know, an ornery kid simply because I was intelligent, spoke my mind, um, or sometimes was dealing with sickle cell and are maybe not coping with sickle cell, um, I should say, in the healthiest of ways. And that's a period that I think I've heard a lot of men with sickle cell talk about, where they went through a period where they weren't coping with living with this disease very well, because I think the reality from in moving from your pediatric care into adult care, and then actually being an adult, the realization that you are now an adult living with this disease, that you have to do adult things and live an
hold
adult
down
life
a
while also contending, also dealing with this disease. That is a very daunting, scary thing to face, emotionally, mentally, physically. Like, that can be a very tough thing to cope with. And I know many of us, don't always handle that period very well, because we weren't given, insight, instruction on, what was to come, with this illness.
Oh yeah, I had absolutely no idea of what was to come, and so again, with your work situation as you try to hold down a job, or school as you try to get your degree, or relationships as you try to hold and maintain a relationship as an adult living with sickle cell disease, your expectations on your life, and especially when you've been hearing all your life that you're going to be dead by the time you're 40, from stupid doctors who are still stuck there, how your mentality and your self view and perspective is progressing as you get older, and just so many challenges that you never even thought that you were going to have to deal with, and now you're dealing with them. And if you don't have someone who can give you some perspective and let you know that, hey, you're going to make it through this, and
absolutely,
you'll be better on the other side. So there's a real value to what you're saying. Absolutely.
Change your perspective, you can change your paradigm. And when I changed to looking at my perspective, to looking at this disease as something that could fuel me, that could fuel my work, when I chose to look at this illness as something that was tempering me, like steel in a furnace. I use this analogy all the time. Like, steel has to go into a furnace, be melted down to its base minerals, purified of all the imperfections, and then it has to be beat on, pounded on, folded every which way, so that it's then strong enough to hold up a skyscraper, or light enough to send a plane, flying through the sky.
Right.
I look at sickle cell like it's my furnace, like I'm the steel, like it's tempering me, like it's folding me, like it's pounding on me, but at the end of the day, it's making me stronger. And when I can look at it through that lens, I didn't battle the depression as much. I didn't battle the anguish as much. I didn't have that victim mentality of woe is me, this is happening to me.
That part. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that was wonderfully stated. It's a wonderful metaphor for this disease. It's a difficult process, but it creates something that is, like you said, hardened and more capable of upholding the world in your world that you're building on top of these structures that have been hardened by that process. And again, I think it's just a wonderful analogy. It is. I'm glad I heard that, because I had heard that particular one before. So,
Absolutely.
and I want our young people to be hearing that kind of stuff. That's the real right there. Is I want our young people to hear that kind of stuff. So
Absolutely.
they can know how capable they are and how badass they are just because you have this disease and because you survived these challenges and because you're still growing and manifesting your life despite and what's going on underneath it. Yeah, it's gonna be
Yes, sir. When I look at the talent, the quality of people and merit and accomplishment that are within the sickle cell community, the things that we do in spite of this disease, the things that we've done in spite of people telling us that we were going to be dead by a certain age. Like, I've literally had doctors tell me that living, like, I had a doctor at the National Institute of Health. This is our National Institute of Health. I had a doctor there telling me, like, it was the best news, like, it should be the best news I ever heard. It was like, men with sickle cell are living until they're 65 now. Like, that's amazing. Like, what do you mean that's amazing? You're telling me like that? Like, I should be excited to hear that. Because if you think that's me, you got another thing coming. Because by then I had decided that no doctor, no disease was going to tell me what I could and could not do with my life.
Absolutely.
Once I was able to change the paradigm and perspective around how I viewed this illness. It ain't got me. I got it. And I'm going to use it to fuel my passions, to fuel my dreams, to fuel the work that I want to do, to fuel my advocacy. Because that's what I'm allowing it to mean in my life. You can allow this disease to drag you down, to beat you up, to make you depressed and down and leave you spinning down the cycle of depression, pain, anger, hospitals, like just spinning that cycle around and around and around, one thing feeding the next thing. Or you can choose to change that perspective and, do what I see many sickle cell patients doing, and that's trying to live full lives in spite of this illness. But many of us, it was a trial and error process to get there. And if we, through, with our voices and our experiences, can help other sickle cell patients, not have to face that, to not have to, deal with it in such a difficult way. I think we're well on the right path and we're doing the right kind of work.
I absolutely agree. And, I was thinking that, the most powerful tool that all of us have, and that's really anybody, is your story. And when you share your story, you don't know who or how it's going to affect another people. And that is just so, doubly true in the sickle cell disease community. When we share the challenges that we face, when we share the victories that we have, when we share the perspectives that we've gained, when we share, the road that we've walked, and share, the people who have walked with us, and just the journey, and the fact that the journey is what's so beautiful and challenging and so victorious, because there are many victories on this road with sickle cell disease. There are many times that you face challenges and overcome them. And when people hear that and see it in your story, they find that, they can have a life story, that they can find places where they've had victories that maybe they didn't even know. And it's so important that we continue to share who we are, why we're here, and how we are living with sickle cell disease and being successful and overcoming this challenging life that comes with this disease. So,
absolutely, yes, sir. Yes, sir. But I think this is probably a great place to end at. We've you dropped some very, very encouraging, impactful, powerful words. Especially when it comes to changing your perspective. So I just want to thank you again for your insights, for your voice, Ken, for the work that you do in our community, and just say thank you for being here.
Pleasure, bro. My pleasure.
I'll probably pop back in to actually close us out, but before that, I just want to say to everybody out there who may be watching, just stay encouraged. Just stay encouraged. There's an opportunity for a breakthrough in every breakdown, and you just have to sometimes change that perspective to see it. So thank you to anybody and everybody who may be listening and watching. But yes. Ken,
blessed by this. Where you at, Shea Bear?
I'm here. I was just letting you guys say your last words before I said mine and close this out. Do you have does any of you have anything else you would like to add? There we go. My brain turned back on.
We love it. We love it. Again, the one thing I want to add is that, as we come upon World Sickle Cell Day, I want everyone in our community to understand that, this is a wonderful celebration for each and every one of us. And it is incumbent upon us to be a part of it, part of the celebration, part of the explanation, part of the exasperation, just, be a part of it, feel it and love it, because we're loving ourselves and we're loving each other. And that's what World Sickle Cell Day is about. There's so much going on for World Sickle Cell Day that I just want to see everybody in this community, feeling it and loving it. And I want to thank Shea Brian, who was making a lot of that happen. A lot of the stuff that's going on on this day is due to her work and dedication. And I just thank God for you, baby. Well done. Well done and well done.
Thank you. Okay. Well, Dorian, do you have anything you want to add before I end this, or?
No. I think I pretty much summed up what I wanted to say. I guess outside of just saying, thank you, Shea Brian, for again holding space for us and facilitating, helping us facilitate conversation around things that we've been talking about. But I think we had a great conversation. Ken, thank you again, and Shea Brian, thank you so much as well for all the work that you're doing out there, not just for us, but for the mommies and the mothers and the daughters and everybody else. Thank you for the work that you're doing. But yes, much love and many blessings, everyone.
Thank you. All right, so without further ado, it is time to end this. I just want to end off with my positive words of wisdom, encouragement, whichever one you want to use. Before I end, which is start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. Until next time, folks, peace.
Peace.
Peace.